of 360 degrees. According to the National Agency for Information and Communication Technologies, Cameroon experienced a financial about 350,000 incidents of cybercrimes. The most of the incidents involving scamming, banking card scheming, despite efforts of sensitization. Why do Cameroonians continue to fall victims? What are the appropriate measures of combating the phenomenon in our society today? Cameroon is our focus on this edition of the program. Stay with us for the next 1 hour. You're welcome back. Today we are talking cyber security, which is a real threat in Cameroon. You've just listened to the woeful sums of money that is being lost every year to this very dangerous phenomenon. And we have our guests in today's edition. Among them we have a cyber security expert who will be, of course, telling us exactly the appropriate measures we need to take to be able to combat the rising phenomenon in Cameroon. I'll begin by welcoming them from the cyber security experts. Jonathan Israel, I don't know if it is Israel as Israel. Yes, Israel. Yes, Jonathan Israel, you are cyber security experts. We are happy that you are here today to give us the various tips on how to combat this very rising phenomenon. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And by you, we have Guillaume Z. Guillaume is a journalist. He's a communication officer for the Paradigm Initiative, and he doubles as a digital rights advocate. Guillaume, this is equally the first time on this set. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you very much, Hyacinth. It's my pleasure to be with you today.
Yeah. And by my right, we have our own Promise Akante, who has been here several times. And he's here today to share with us her experience when it comes to, she's a journalist, when it comes to covering issues of cybersecurity, painting the picture as it is. Promise, it's a pleasure to have you again.
I thought it was by your left, but it's okay from by your right. I'm by your left, it's okay. Good afternoon to you, Alison. Good afternoon to you and to Jonathan. I'm super happy to be with you, Jonathan, on the set. For some reason I'm going to tell you because of the program. And for Guillaume, yes, it's a pleasure to share the set with you finally, because it has been a very, very long time we haven't shared the same platform. And as for you, of course, I'm happy to be with you, Alison. Hopefully we are going to contribute our own fair share to nation building.
Of course, and everything being equal, we shall be having Prince Joel Mukaje, a journalist based in Douala, who is supposed to be joining us anytime soon for the program. Gentlemen, you would permit us, maybe let us get a clue of what we are talking about. We take this report on cyber crimes, and then we come back to begin our discussions. They constituted themselves to possible facilitators into the police school after the recent police examination. To blindfold their victims, they would open a mobile money account with names of some female police officials for the deposit of the huge sums, equally modifying their voices to sound like ladies. And after receiving the money from victims, the suspect would download the list of successful candidates published on the National Security website, wipe off some names, and insert names of their victims, giving them the impression that they are successful and ready for training. Nabbed by the elements of the Central Regional Police Division and presented to the public this October 14, police authorities warn.
The Delegate General for National Security made it very clear to all that the recruitment process into the police corps is anonymous from the beginning to the end. There is no bribery or corruption to join the police corps. Dear parents and candidates, you should keep in your mind that only those with merit will be retained.
Arrested in Biteng and Bamayo, the presumed culprits have numerous SIM cards at their disposal, used for the criminal act. They remain in detention, ready to face their crimes.
You're welcome back. Let me begin with the lone lady on set. Promise Akante, have you been a victim of cybercrimes?
No.
Okay.
I'm honestly saying no because I don't know, maybe I'm just super careful, super skeptical each time I receive a message. It's not like I'm not having messages coming in, but you know, smartly enough or not, maybe sluggishly enough for me, when I receive a message from, let's say it's a messenger, Facebook messenger message, what I do first is to scroll up and see the flow of our conversations, because I know how I talk with you, for example. I know how I talk with Gio. Okay, I haven't spoken with Jonathan yet, but I know how we chat. So there are some words that I know that you cannot use to me. And there's a way of approach that Gio will not use on me, for example. So if it's a messenger message, I'm going to go through like what were we saying before now. If it's a WhatsApp message, there is a way I connect with you on WhatsApp. There's a way I connect with you. I always begin with work and then end with greetings. So if you begin by greeting me, I know that definitely that's not you. You and I will begin with work and then we end with greetings. And Dr. Karima, so my younger brother said, "Who's it, doctor?" So anybody who knows me, we have a particular way we flow. With my sisters, I know how we start discussing. With my daughters, I know how we begin discussing. So if any of their phones are hacked, for example, the person will not be smart enough to know how we discuss. Maybe I was just lucky enough to have myself around IT experts who give some tips on how to survive such things. But I have not been hacked before. I've not been a victim. And I don't love quick money. I don't love fast cash. I don't have easy cash. So if you tell me I've won some, if I see the amount and maybe your name, I'm like, damn, I don't think any kind of money, no worry yourself. So yes, there's lots of things that it is some small techniques that we should learn to have and know how to escape these guys.
Okay, Gio, have you been a victim before?
I've not been a victim before, and unlike Promise, I don't think I've been careful enough. As a Cameroonian, you cannot be careful enough. I think we don't have adequate structures, so I've just been, I don't know whether I would say lucky or blessed, but unlike millions of other Cameroonians out there, I've been quite fortunate to not have been victim to cybercrime yet. Yet.
But you've had attempts maybe to drive you into it?
There have definitely been attempts. There have been attempts, and I think it is a very big issue we're facing today. Not just cybercrime, digital crime in general. You know, beyond the internet, there are regular non-online crimes that still pertain in the same direction. And I'd like to say I'm basically lucky because there are millions of Cameroonians who have done everything right by the book, and they're still fallen victim because of the lack of adequate structures to cater for that.
Okay. Jonathan, even as an expert, have these guys been trying to drag you into their various phishing games?
Yes, been dragged several times. Even last week, I've had some attempts of cyber crimes, but I've not been a victim. But there have been several attempts, phishing attempts, so that's what I can say.
Maybe let me just begin with you. What are some of these major types of cyber crimes? Because many people do not really understand the concept.
All right, we have the social media scams, where people do create fake Facebook accounts, WhatsApp accounts to impersonate friends and family. We have the mobile money fraud, where people will do SIM swap, where they can clone your phones, they clone your SIM cards to extort money from you. So we also have the phishing scam, where people, I would say script kiddies, or I would say the black hat hackers, they are going to mimic legitimate websites to steal your credentials, such as your usernames and password, and then they have access to your social media accounts. So these are some of the cyber crimes that are affecting us.
Gio, maybe you want to complete?
So yes, these are some of the major cyber crimes, and I think one thing which we underlook a lot are other crimes, because when we hear of cyber crime, we're thinking of some big people seated somewhere in some office. We fail to think it could be just your next door neighbor. We have a lot of other issues. We have online harassment, which is in itself supposed to be a cybercrime. You know, we have some of these things like misuse of your data. You know, where does your data go to? When you buy a SIM card, when you make a purchase in an online platform, where does your information go to? And more importantly, what do they use that information to do? So if your data privacy is violated online, it's supposed to qualify as a crime. So I come to you and I buy a product or a service, and you say, oh, we are not going to give this data to third parties, and then all of a sudden I see some food chain or some different companies texting me every day and saying, oh, subscribe to this. I never give them my phone number. How did they? So I think cybercrimes in itself is a whole broad spectrum, but usually we are very keen to just look at a few things like emails, phishing, scams, and all that. But it is broader than we might think, actually. Yeah,
maybe, Promise, before I come to you, I really want us to go deep, like the daily doings. How do these guys operate? So much so that they have victims almost every day, despite the sensitization that people do.
The famous one that people mostly fall is the mobile money fraud. Yes, where you're going to receive a message from somebody saying that you have had this amount. You know, there are some data leaks since the COVID-19. So many people have lost their jobs, and people working in these telecom companies, MTN, Orange, where they had the database of MTN and mobile money users. So in the act of losing their jobs, they leak out such to scammers. So when now they have all your information, your account. So when they go through their list, they just pick at random. It's true that they're going to target those who have more money, or those who often do transactions online. So they target such people, and then they try and mimic a message, and then they'll say that you have received money. It's true that MTN and Orange, they have already come up with a solution, but not so efficient, where they will say that if you don't receive a message from mobile money header or Orange money, it means that it is not legit. So that's one of the ways. And some often we fall victims because we don't often change our passwords. Normally they say we are being taught, some are being taught, I would say, because not everybody knows. They are being taught that it's good to change your password every after 3 months. But what's the issue? Let's say, for example, your password, the first 3 months, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's assume it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the next 3 months, you change it 4, 5, 6. Now, what's the issue? After the 9th month, the remaining 3 months, you come back to the old password of 1, 2, 3, 4. Which makes it more easier for these people to guess your password. So those are one of the things. That's how they do it. From the leakage from MTN and Orange, they get the information and they monitor. As I was saying last week, it's true that I'm not the one, but it was my cousin. She sent me messages, so many messages, because they can do SIM cloning, where we clone your SIM card. It's possible. There where someone will clone your SIM card, and then all the messages that you are receiving, the person is receiving, and the person can also fake a real message. So she sent me actual message thinking that it's from MTN. So that's how they do work. But now if you are not careful enough, because now one issue is those guys make mistakes in their messages. Some spellings, some in the time, the date. So if you are not quite attentive or careful enough, you'll be a victim. And that's how she was taking about 300,000.
And then, Gio, there is one thing, because I've received such messages many times, and then the most intriguing thing is that they are able to know how much you have in your account. Then they build such messages adding to what you have in your account. Then how do they get to know that?
So I can't tell you. We can guess. I've never done it before. But then what happens?
Maybe Jonathan will help us after this.
But what happens is that there's a lot of social engineering. A lot of times, if they want to target you, it suffices to know who does your mobile money transfer at the entrance to your house. You know, it suffices to clone your SIM card, like he's saying. And sometimes when you fail to practice adequate digital hygiene, it becomes very problematic. It's very chaotic for you. So one person would use a singular password for all channels. And a lot of times it's someone who is close to you that does this. So a friend could beg your phone and say, I want to make a phone call. They just check your balance. It's that easy. So sometimes we think it's some complicated system where people are typing codes and everything. Meanwhile, it's just because they have taken a look at how you live your life. They've studied, they have understood you really well. And next second, you're gone. So it boils down, first of all, to a lot of digital hygiene. Of course, we need better structures, but then you have to play your part as an individual. You have to understand that these are the susceptibilities, these are the different areas where they can easily get to you, and you try to close those up. And like he's saying, one of the key ways is your passwords, not just on social media, not just on the internet, your devices in general. There's two-factor authentication because a password is never enough. So I think there are a lot of those things, but then it starts with you as an individual, especially when you find yourself in a system where in reality nobody actually cares about you. So you know you are your first line of defense.
Promise, have you been in a WhatsApp forum where a hacker takes the entire forum hostage?
Yes, yes. Just on Friday, in our extraction forum, I think somebody's number was hacked. Yeah. And, well, I think I'm basically really very lazy, so I don't answer a lot of phone calls, especially WhatsApp phone calls. I don't really pick them up, especially numbers I don't recognize. But many classmates were like, who is this doctor? Somebody who was calling, and we know we don't have such a name in our forum. Who was this person calling? Basically, we did the checks and saw that one of our classmates, her phone has been hacked. And I just keep wondering, it's true I'm not a tech expert like Jonathan, but how do you get to hack someone's number, have access to this person's contacts, get to call? Those are the basic crimes. But you know, Hyson, I'm going to leave the tech for the tech guys and come back to another part of the cyber crimes that we think we could minimize, which we shouldn't minimize, is social media bullying. You know, a lot of bullying takes place on our social media space, and it feels like nobody cares at all about it. But trust me, I think that if a Telecommunications Regulatory Board decides to track down and bring down these people who are doing such things, because I'm sure they have these names on social media, if it's not their real names, with the tech experts, they can trace who is using this I don't know, an anonymous name, which machine they are working from, and maybe even locate, right? You can locate even from which area they are writing from, and you can track them down, because you know, a lot of body shaming goes on, cyberbullying, like the way you live your life, that should be some other person's problem. They come to your post and say a lot of harsh words. There are people who are not psychologically strong enough to resist all what is being said about them on social media. But if people think that they can get away with such things all the time, it's going to continue. So having a tech expert on the platform helps us to believe that we can start tracing. There's someone that I know who got married of recent, and the pictures were on, you know, people like to show like this accomplishment. And some particular people gave some really very nasty comments, and I was like, damn, I think we can trace them and ask them, like, what is your problem? If you're not happy with someone, just stay in your sadness lane and allow people to be happy. But now, hopefully, because of the program, Jonathan is going to tell us if it is possible to trace people who come and say wrong, like very harsh words to women and also men, because men are also bullied on the social media space. But women, especially, like a woman struggles so hard to accomplish something, and all you can think is link her success to a man, right? And then really rubbishing her success, making her feel like she is not worth the position she has. All of these things, I think we really need to focus on how do we trace such people, and how do we bring them to book. Because tracing is one thing, that's true, but do we have legislation that sanctions
we'll get to that.
Such things?
Jonathan, you listen to Promise, this issue of hacking a WhatsApp forum and then having access to all the contacts of the different individuals that are in that WhatsApp forum. I think a better explanation will serve a lot of people out there, please.
You know, if you're being hacked, it's because the hacker always has his target, a victim. And, you know, it could be through phishing, social engineering, where they get to monitor your activities. Like, I can create a fake profile picture, and I want to target his Promise.
What
will I do? I will try and monitor the activities she's doing. because I'll try to see the time she comes online and the time she goes offline. Yeah. What are the activities she does when she's online? What are the things she loves doing when she's online? See that she loves perfumes, for example. So when I monitor the activities she goes online, then I can come out now with a better strategy how to get to her. I might, okay, if she loves perfume, I might create a fake profile picture or profile account of Facebook perfume seller. Perfume, yeah. And I say I have a real perfume. It's first for her gaining her trust, because if she has my trust, it will be easy for me to get to her. And that's how when we are discussing. Now, when discussing, I can go back and create a fake website or a legit, I just clone and mimic a real website. I send her the link. I say, okay, here are more images to perfumes. The moment she clicks that link, she does not necessarily need to put her information. Yeah. Because there are some of these phishing links that
suffices to click.
Yes, exactly. Because it's what is called a zero-day click.
Okay.
Where just the message, you are gone. There are viruses like that, that when you send to somebody, just with a simple text message, the person is gone. So the moment she clicks that link, it should have something. They'll ask you to put your credentials, your username and password, but I don't necessarily need your credentials. Just with that click. And with that click, I have access to your phone. Okay.
So you are listening, be careful with what you click online.
Be careful with what you click. And
if you doubt it, do not do not click.
Routines. Go online and do all that.
Yeah, Gio, I want us now to look at the push factors to this growing phenomenon in Cameroon. What could be the push factors?
Before I get to that, I would just like to add to what he's saying, that there's a need for us to educate ourselves. For example, links, you just need to be able to look at the link and you know if the link is good or not. You know, by the transfer protocol, the HTTPS, you have with the link and all of that. So but then it's easy for someone who does it on a daily. The average human being does not do that. You wake up in the morning, you have your problems, and you're not thinking about what a link looks like or what it doesn't look like, right? So then it becomes
Some do not even know what is a link.
They don't even know what a link is in the first place.
But I'm not going to say, not to cut you, but it's not all links are secure. You might have a link, because let me say, the links I'll be sending to you can have the HTTPS, which they say the S stands for secure, but not all those links are secure.
Exactly.
Because normally when creating, the link is not secure, but I can change that link from an HTTP to an HTTPS and then send it to you. I can clone Facebook, you look and it's really Facebook. What makes you think? But what I'll say, the bottom line is, if you look suspicious, don't click.
So, and we're saying the same thing, because then there are links that still don't look suspicious. But the best thing, like he's saying, is put in your best, try to know. You might not be able to know, but there's a bare minimum which you should be able to know. But then talking about the push factors, first of all, crime is not justified. Crime is not justified, regardless of what is happening. It's not justified. Because if we're trying to justify cybercrime or justify cyberbullying or harassment or hacking of accounts, then we're going to justify a lot of other things. So when it comes to push factors, sometimes you don't really want to care. You're thinking more about the protective part of it, because sometimes you might even begin to tell people, oh, these are the push factors, and there's someone who has many of those conditions but has not been doing that.
Who feel comfortable.
And then they'll be like, oh, great, so now I'm justified. Exactly. So I think when we're having this kind of a conversation, we should not look at it from that perspective, because then if you say, what is a push factor? Anything can be justified, no matter how heinous a crime is. It can be justified. But then I think we should rather look at it from the perspective of what can we do, and how can we also make sure that we have systems in place to keep us safer.
We shall be getting there.
Hi, Senator. I'm going to take the position of a lay journalist to ask a question. It's your program, of course, but I'm going to ask a question, Jonathan. When we talk about phishing, what we know is phishing is we are going to the sea, to the river.
That one is PH. That one is PHI.
Maybe you just break it down so that the man understands.
The PH, not FISH. So the PH, it's where you clone, like you copy, mimic. I can mimic his voice like this. When I'm on fire, I can mimic his voice, and then I talk, and they think that he's the one talking. So now phishing is cloning a legitimate website in order to steal credentials from a user.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
He has promised. I want us to maybe Gio said we should not focus on the push factors, but then we can equally underline the consequences of these very dangerous threats. to individuals and businesses.
Yes, Hyacinth, we have many people who have lost huge amounts of money, who have lost their privacy because of things that are put up on social media because of them. And even though I could just consider myself lazy and technically fortunate that I didn't fall prey to the several attempts of any of these cyber crimes, but there are many people who have lost their life savings to these people, who have lost valuable information, who have lost their accounts. I know of a colleague who lost her Facebook page with all the number of followers. You know now, social media is the number of followers you have and all the everything. And she lost that Facebook page. And no matter how hard they tried,
especially when the page is monetized.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to begin from zero.
No matter how hard they tried to recover the page, the hacker just continued using this. She had to create a different profile on Facebook, and it is not the same thing, because even though she has a different Facebook page, the hacker still once in a while uses. That's something I've not understood. Like, how do you create a different page with your name and your information, and then the hacker is still using the other Facebook page that you had? Now, when you talk about the cloning of websites, a legitimate website, for example, and then you clone it, what happens to the original website? Is it still working? Is it still functioning? Or the fact that you have cloned it, now it stops operating? Do they lose their data? Do they lose their clients? Do they have problems along the line?
No. So when you clone a site, for example, if I clone, let me say, Facebook website, the actual Facebook website is up and running. Yeah, I'm cloning it in order to steal a credential from a victim or from a business or an organization.
You're basically building a replica. So you can clone a studio like this, so you do another one somewhere. And when someone comes to say it's not door one, it's door two.
It's like photocopying something.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, but Hyacinth, I would like to add to what she's saying about the consequences. A lot of times too, we look at the consequences on a minimal level. We look at an individual. You've lost 100,000, you've lost an account with 20 or 100,000 followers. And we fail to look at it from the bigger perspective. We fail to look at institutions. We have even seen that in the same country, where a major institution concerning the elections has had its social media page tampered with. And it becomes problematic because these days, a lot of things happen in the digital space. Countries are basically ruled in the digital space. So if we cannot keep these secure, it is a problem for us, because how then do you tell what is true and what is not? So you wake up tomorrow and a bona fide account actually cloned, like he's saying, or you don't even know what to believe again. We are in an era where information goes fast, and we have users who consume this information a lot of times without trying to verify. So one of the major consequences too is that social media alone can topple an entire country. It can turn things all over. And so it's important for us to better analyze and understand some of these issues. When the Budapest Convention was done in 2001 and came into effect in 2004, there was a lot of joy across the world, because people felt like, oh, these cyber crimes, we're finally getting to tackle them. Cameroon adopted its cyber crimes law, I think, in 2010 or so. But then the internet is very fast. It's evolving. In 2001, there was no artificial intelligence like we have it today. So what are we doing to meet up with those? Because then when you look at the consequences and you look at the measures, it is a little bit fearful. We are trying to play catch, and it doesn't always work every time. A lot of the times we just end up lucky. Like I mentioned here earlier, I'm just lucky. It's not because I have the best digital protection or digital security. Okay,
maybe we have a series of messages we've already received. Let me just take one from there. Good afternoon to you all in the studio. I am called Joseph Reje in Bafsam. My preoccupation is that what steps can individuals and business take to protect themselves from cyber threats, considering the fact that someone's Facebook is being hacked, but the hacker is still using the account. I think we shall get to that maybe when we shall be providing tips or solutions to.
Definitely.
But gentlemen, did you know that, like Gio was saying, no crime is justified? Did you know that you can be rearrested even while you're in prison?
Arrested in prison?
Yes.
What are they going to do?
It's the same like if you're hacked today, there's no guarantee that you can be hacked tomorrow.
Okay.
Means I can hack, if I hack you today, I can hack you tomorrow, after tomorrow.
Okay, let's take a practical case where some of these hackers, while already sentenced in prison, were rearrested for various cyber crimes.
He who is down, they say, fears no fall. 4 of the 6 culprits already sentenced and serving jail terms at the Kondengi and Tui prisons cannot stay away from criminal activities. They have allegedly scammed a good number of candidates in the ongoing police competitive examination process by impersonating top officials to request money for the completion of documents.
The personality, we have Dr. Bilunga, we have the Minister Oswald Babuke, we have Minister Ngala Bibehe, and the DCC, Mr. Mbondayolo.
Faced with numerous complaints from the victims, the police launch an intensive search and the supposed criminals are rearrested from their prison cells and taken to the General Delegation for National Security.
After the investigation, we realized that the phone number belongs to somebody who has been detained in prison. Then we went to prison and we arrested four of them.
The transactions are said to be facilitated by this prison guard, who is also apprehended. This mobile telephone agent technically executing the fictitious deals, producing fake national identity cards of the impersonated authorities, using them to register the numerous SIM cards and extorting money from victims. The suspects await their fate as they remain behind bars.
You're welcome back. You are watching 360 Degrees, and you have the opportunity to contribute to our talking points through the number you have on your screen. Just send us a very short message, straight to the point. We shall be able to take it before the end of the program. Promise, I want us to look at government efforts in combating cybercrimes in Cameroon. Before
going to government efforts, I don't know if it is just me realizing, or maybe everyone has observed, that we have more and more government officials whose social media accounts are, I don't know if they are hacked or they are cloned or they are fake.
No, it's not
something.
like they are hacked. People create fake accounts.
People create fake accounts
in their names. Yes.
So I don't know, maybe I'm just being weird, but is it that they are not active on social media spaces so that they don't even get to realize that someone else has created a profile in their name and is using? Because I don't want to imagine that someone will create a Facebook page on my name, or a TikTok handle, or maybe a YouTube page, or a Twitter, or an X.
There are some people handle. Who are not on Facebook, eh?
But the world is highly digitalized now. Everything is basically on social media, and social media is that fast-paced world. There's no way you can conveniently say that you're not on social media and you are ruling and you are up to date, because there are people whom you will get only on social media, and these are people who are so important. Not saying that they are not important, they are. Well, hopefully the government is doing something about it, but until we get to have a one-on-one with the structures in charge, maybe a Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications, the Telecommunications Regulatory Board, to know from them if they are really receiving complaints from Cameroonians, and if they are really solving them. I'm putting really in bold because we know our system very well. But now, if these complaints are being solved, if these culprits are being tracked, okay, these ones who were rearrested from prison to be sent back to prison.
Yeah, and one of them had a 15-year jail term already he was serving. So
I wonder what they are going to give him again. But if they have this, if they were apprehended because they maybe touched the wrong people, for example, and the other big names that they, what happens to me? What happens to Guillaume? What happens to Haïs Chia, who is not a government official, who is not a big name? Can we have this deployment of all our elements of force of security?
I think if you file your complaint where it is supposed to be filed, you have to do something.
but with regards to that, okay.
Yes, because the man on the street should not feel like these services are meant for a particular class of people in the society. Like,
exactly.
What about my cousin drawn from it, can he or she go and report to these structures? What are even the structures in the first place, and can they go and report and have their case followed up close? Trust this system that the government has put in place to trace who is bullying them online and to bring it, because it is still bullying, and I am sure that the law penalizes bullying. There should be articles in our penal code that penalizes bullying. Should there be confidence that someone is going to do something so that these copies are brought to book? And is it even an exemplary sanction that's going to discourage the others from trying to bully people online? You know, like I do, I see that we have this campaign which is online, and also on site, I think, with women and other activists who are very disgruntled about the sanction that was given to the man who killed his wife in Douala, 52,000 francs, which is grossly, well, legally it is okay, but morally speaking, you won't want to apply the law like that. So if an online bully is arrested, if a cyber criminal, a cyber thief, a cyber financial criminal is arrested, what exemplary sanction is met to that it dissuades others from adventuring into that side? All of this is what we want our government to tell us, us the journalists, so they can also tell the people, so that they know that they can trust their government, they can trust the authorities that be. And in some way, it's really very difficult, but in some way, cybercrime should be reduced. I'm watching some intelligence series, and that's the kind of thing I watch, criminal police investigative series, that you see how the intelligence agency in the US is really very good at falsifying documents, and I'm like, oh damn, if this comes from inside, how do we fight it from the outside? But I hope that because they know how because they know how to falsify, it means that they can easily catch those who are trying to falsify. And I'm sure we have a wonderful security system in Cameroon. If I tell my story, you're going to understand why. But we have a wonderful intelligence system in this country that you cannot commit a crime and go with it, if they really want to anyway.
Dio, is our government doing enough?
The answer on the face is everyone else doing enough? Then we can have the answer. Not just the government. I don't think everyone is.
When I say the government, I'm looking at the driving force.
So we verbally the will is there. Verbally the will is there, but a lot of times we would want them to take more action, not just about cybercrime, but digital crime in general. Again, as a solution-oriented institution, we don't just sit and fold our arms and point at others and say, hey, you're not doing great or you're doing great. The work we do at Paradigm Initiative is we provide support to victims of these digital rights violations. We have a platform. Recently in Nigeria, we had the case of someone whose data was being used without their consent by an establishment. They made a purchase and the establishment took their data, gave it to a third party, which began using without their consent. But like elsewhere in Cameroon, justice is expensive. And that's what Promise was saying, what happens to the common man, because then you're basically very, struggling to survive. You have 300,000 and someone hacks your account and pulls off that 300,000 francs, or someone is harassing you online and bullying you and saying, oh, if you don't send us maybe your nudes, for example, we're going to, or if you don't send us money, rather, we're going to release your nudes and all of that. And the little money you have, you can't take it to go follow justice. Justice is costly. Justice takes a lot of time. So what do? You succumb to their pressure. So the work we do is we work with our partners across the African continent to provide some of these solutions. So it might be legal, it might be psychosocial support and all that. But for us, it's because we believe that it is not enough to count on the government. It is not enough to count on the protocols, the legislations. We have to play a role. So through our platform, Reportee, you can report your digital rights violations, and you can do it anonymously. That is another problem a lot of people have. People sometimes, some of these crimes are really embarrassing. They're really embarrassing, you know. For example, he's talking here as an expert. Tomorrow he can't come and tell you, ah, man, I've been hacked. You say, but you're an expert. But anybody can fall victim to it. So we also give you the chance to take these problems anonymously and you tell us, hey, this is what is happening. So far as you provide the evidence, we are able to provide support for you. So is the government doing enough? My question is, are stakeholders doing enough? We are doing our best on our own side of the globe, but also we believe your own part is to stay informed, and the government's part is to make sure that these cases are followed up and justice is served. Again, this might also take us to a conversation which is even out of the current scope, because we have seen people who are behind bars committing these crimes. And then the question is, are they there to be punished or to be reformed? Then we want to look at our correctional service. But I think within the context of this conversation, are they doing enough? Yes, we have the legislation. Yes, we would love to see the legislation updated more often.
Yeah.
In December of last year, the Parliament brought to light this new bill on data protection. They talked of the creation of a data protection authority. So if your data, for example, is misused, you can report to this authority. But we're eager to see how it gets on, because then we can have this in theory, but in practice, it's something else.
At the level of the Paradigm Initiative, you've just explained some of the things you do. What is the feedback like?
So the first thing is that the feedback is beautiful. The latest person we provided support to in Nigeria was awarded the sum of 3 million naira by the court, just because he bought a food institution, misused his data. And we see that in Cameroon every day. You receive unsolicited messages. You didn't subscribe for something. It is a violation. It is a violation. Yeah. You didn't sign up for that. Of course, we have a problem with terms and conditions. Sometimes they are so bogus that people don't read. But again, exactly, you just click. But again, it's part of what we are trying to do on the global stage. We are pushing for data minimization. What is that? You want to register into a social media app. What is the barest information they need? Maybe your name and your email address. Yeah. Why would they want to know the name of your father, your grandmother, and everybody else? So we are pushing for data minimization. And it looks so abstract until it affects you. Because you say, oh, I don't use Facebook, but then you're going to use another app. You might use WhatsApp, you might use TikTok or Twitter or Snapchat or whatever. And even if you don't use these applications, it boils down even to the telcos that we have locally. You still buy airtime and you still place a call through, and your data is still going to be remaining somewhere. So that's the work we are doing at Paradigm Initiative. We are working at the local level, but we're also pushing on the global stage, trying to see how we can combat this issue both ways. Locally too, we don't have all of that power, all of that manpower to go on ground. Yeah. So what do? We adapt to the local realities. So we work with partner organizations. Recently in Cameroon, we had a training with a partner organization in Cameroon, Civic Watch, and what we did was we trained journalists on digital rights violations and digital rights. Exactly, you were there. And the following day, we had a session, an in-house or an in-camera meeting with members of the civil society, state institutions, like you're talking about, even ELECAM, and it was our digital rights in Africa and digital rights in elections and Africa monitor, which too is looking at these digital rights within a specific context, because in a couple of months, Cameroonians go to the polls to vote. And so we say, these digital spaces, how are they being used? How can we maximize their use? How can we ensure that we have a sane digital ecosystem in the build-up to that process?
Yes. Maybe before I ask you what others are doing, as an expert at individual level, maybe how do you struggle to fight against this?
We do offer sensitization campaigns. Like we have communities like Red Sheet Africa, which they hold meetings every month. Like this month, they'll be holding a meeting in Boya on the 26th, where they are going to be having real-life demos on how these attackers, they hack, and how to protect yourself. So we go in by sensitizing the public. Through years, the government is doing what it could do through the antique, but there's still more effort to be done. We need more training, we need more campaigns, and if they are not done, if people are not sensitized about it, then cybercrime will keep increasing.
Okay.
And you know, I say that...
You mentioned Antique. Let me just come to you. Antique has revealed that most of these cybercrimes take place in Yaoundé, Douala, and Buea, particularly in Moliko. Can somebody react to that?
But you know that the bigger the metropole is, the more the activity, and logically not explaining, not justifying for them, the more people are exposed. Many more people prefer online shopping. Many more people prefer online marketing, and there's a lot of activity going on online now. Even booking a car, maybe a taxi, you know, picking up, even reserving a travel ticket for interurban transportation and a flight ticket. All of those things are now more and more online. And just like Jonathan said, they monitor your activities and they know how where you are vulnerable, where they can easily get you. So you don't want to expect that the activity, the amount of activity happening in Yaoundé is the same in Bamenda. I'm not saying that Bamenda is small, but you know, comparatively, how much activity, and then look at maybe Bertois, for example, it's not going to be the same thing. So the metropolis is bigger, the activities are more, the connection is also higher, and maybe they are more vulnerable.
Maybe you have a different reasoning to why
I
this
have a different reasoning. That's mine.
Perspective about that.
Yes.
First of all, there's a lot of stigma around this thing, and when you put out information and it's not complete, it is problematic. Because if you say these are the areas which are high crime areas and you sit, it is problematic because then there's that stigma. I have lived in Boya, schooled in Boya, and I have been a victim where security forces move up to you and they say, oh, give us your phone. It's a violation.
Yes.
And it might not be online, but still it's a digital rights violation. And they go through your phone. Why do they do that? They will not do that in a place like Kwakwa. They're not doing it. Yes, they're not doing Chabal. They're not doing Chabal up north. But why? Because they say, oh, you're in Boya. You're a young person. You should not look so good, right? Yes. And they say, oh, because there's that stigma. So I think it is a problem. I mean, we have been clamoring for our organizations to give data, but then there's a way which you put out this information. So instead of just saying, oh, we have a lot of cybercrime or a lot of these activities happening in these towns, it's ideal to look at it as an opportunity, rather, to go in and tackle the problem head on. Because we now have a challenge where when you just put out this information and it's incomplete, you empower people who are not even supposed to be in that process at all. You empower people to violate young people's rights because they just feel like, oh, this young man, you know, exactly. And in reality, regardless of all of those supposed crackdowns that happen, how many of those young people do we ever see dragged before the law court? Very few of them. So in the end, you realize that they are simply empowering people to exploit the young people, to exploit those that are perceived victims, instead of providing a long-lasting solution.
Yes, you wanted to chip in something, Jonathan?
So when they mention those areas, we see because of high unemployment, there's high employment. There are so many youths outside there with digital skills, but now they are not employed. So then they use their skills to get into frauding, scamming. Next, you see also peer pressure. You see areas like Boya, Yaoundé, you see how people are posting on the internet expensive watches, expensive dresses, and they want to live that kind of life too. And when they go, they start teaching them how to scam. And you also see lack of consequence, as you said. When they approach you, they know that they're not going to do them anything. So nothing, there's no big deal. So I have connections, so if I enter, they're not going to do me anything. And so it leads to high crime.
I want to differ a little bit, just for a second.
Briefly, please.
Yes. So I don't think it's about an unemployment thing. If you're savvy enough, tech savvy, the tech market is not Cameroon or Boya. The tech market is a universal, it's a global market. So if you're doing this, we're looking at it from a perspective of those who are actually exploiting young people under the pretext of them being scammers. That's the perspective which I think we should look at it from, because we should be able to hold power to account. We have seen Barrister Tambetiku doing that every day in Boya, but one person cannot do the job alone. So we as Paradigm Initiative, we also carry out advocacy campaigns, but again, it needs every other person to put their foot on the ground and say, we need a stop to this.
Okay, Jonathan, maybe you look at that camera. I think we have gotten to a point where we need to talk to people out there, give them some precautionary tips on how they will be able maybe to dodge away from this very harassment of cyber crimes from the different culprits.
Okay, firstly, I would say update your passwords. That's the first thing you have to do. Passwords are meant to be changed every after 3 months. And you know, the password is like your underwear. No one needs to know it. No one needs to know the color of your underwear. That's what they say. So you are not, sorry for if that's a vulgar language, but you need to update your password every after 3 months. Do not share your OTP online.
OTP, by OTP you mean?
One-time password. Or some say one-time PIN, which is sent to you. You're not to share that online. And also, you don't have to click links that you don't know. I can send you through an SMS. If you don't know about the link, do not click it. Just the fact that you receive the link and you click it is dangerous. And then always report cases. That's what we call identity theft. Once your identity is stolen, it's difficult to recover. I've heard of cases, I've even received a case where a woman was traveling, and by the time she reached the airport, they told her that you're dead. No, she's dead.
That she's dead?
Yes.
Somebody killed her on the social media.
So she's dead. So once your identity is stolen, it's very, very difficult to recover. And what you have to do, report to the nearby police. Yes, there is the cyber police unit. It should have more work has to be done. show that more work has to be done. And people who are fond of photocopying and abandoning their copies is very dangerous. It's what we call dumpster diving in identity theft, a measure of stealing your identity. Dumpster diving, where people go into trash cans, like I can say, going to Ngwakile, all those printing areas. I will go there, I'm going to see people who have thrown their photocopied ID card or birth certificate. So avoid it. So it's better you take that paper, then return it and invest on paper shredders. Those machines will tear paper, or you tear it or burn it. So avoid doing that. Then avoid also posting about your private life. Reduce your privacy. It's not everything you post on the internet. For example, if I want to get somebody that loves posting apples, to get him, I'm going to buy apples and get to that person. So avoid. You should have a private life or a limit to your privacy that you post online. Because we get to you because based on the things you post or based on the things you like. Like I always say, you hardly see me posting myself in an event. And you see people on like Boya on my mind, on my way to Boya, on my way to Douala.
Boya, here I come.
Yeah, I come.
Oh, you can confuse the enemies by posting after the event.
Yes, you can. Yeah, that's what you should post always after the event. So those are tips you have to follow.
Okay.
Very, very. So make sure you don't show your OTP, that is your one-time password. Update your password regularly. Avoid posting your private life on social media. And avoid, and I would say invest on paper shredders. And also back up. Some of us, we don't update our applications, we don't update our systems. When you're using an outdated system, you're putting yourself at risk. For those, I'm talking for those who are often on their laptops and on your phone. So always update your softwares. Those softwares that they always notify you. Normally, our phones are devices that come with the automatic update, but we Cameroonians will cry with data that you're going to put 100 MBs and you will not even make 2 minutes and it's gone. So always update. So these are some safety.
Thank you so much. I hope those who are listening to us have grasped a lot.
I was just going to add to him that we should not also shy away from these recent specialties, because you talk about cybersecurity expert, they probably like, oh, now which kind of foreign kind of thing? You know, you talk about hacking, there's something like about hacking and including all of those specialties that maybe some of our parents are not yet willing to let their children go in for, because to them it's too new, it's too foreign, it's too white man-like. You know, we still have our minds of engineer, doctor, lawyer, all of those. Like, we need to have our children trained, and that's where I was discussing with Jonathan. He's a graduate of the IST University. We have these young minds, and I'm just marveled at what they do all the time. Once we had a hacker who was trying to, I think, either hacking or cloning the number of a colleague, and he was traced. The person was really traced and located in this Yaoundé, and was like, the next time you're going to do this, you'll be jailed because we have found you, we know where you are, we can pick you up. So just avoid, because where you are, you're at the IC University. This is, so it is true that the IC University is one of those biggest hubs of training these IT experts, but parents should learn to accept that their children should go into this so-called white man thing, because the world is fast moving, and every young person who is trained in this technology cannot be idle, cannot be a job seeker. He is a proprietor. You're a CEO, right? You have a structure. What's the name of your structure again?
We Secure.
We Secure. We Secure is his structure. He earns his living from that. So we are trying to encourage parents that let your younger ones get into these gadgets, not about words about Facebook, but to know how to use the gadgets, create these applications,
and make money.
You know, apart from making money, but to make the world more secure and to make our lives a lot easier. We are doing basically almost everything now on phone. So, you know, applications for health, applications for your farms. We have students of the IT department in the IT faculty, of IT University, who created applications that can control the irrigation capacity of your farm. Imagine you have a very large plantation. You don't know which side is dry and which side needs irrigation. The application signals on your phone, like this side, this area of your plantation needs watering, and it is done. So even for the farming, for your businesses, you know, everything now is IT. So let our children get trained in that.
Thank you, Promise. I'll get to you. You guys know we are holding this edition at the eve of the resumption of the second term of the school year, and there has been doubts as to whether or not teachers will go back to school, because they tabled a series of demands for the government to address. And today they are having a press conference, and we shall move over to meet Ate Bonaventure to know what is the final decision the pedagogues have taken, whether they're going back to school on Tuesday or not.
Thanks for joining us here at the Mvogada neighborhood, where the Cameroon Teachers Organization have just announced that the strike action that was announced for the 22nd to the 25th of April is going to take place despite the numerous announcements and promises made by the government. They are not yet satisfied according to the grievances that they made with the government. And so we are going to learn more about the major decisions with the public relations officer of Correct. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
What are the major decisions made, and why does Correct insist on the strike action?
All right, to start with, yesterday, the Correct and all the various trade unions that constitute this Correct, and we must remind that they are the most representative teachers trade unions in the country, sat together to deliberate in the light of the various meetings and negotiations done so far with members of government. This deliberation was supposed to decide on whether or not to carry out the decision to start a strike action as from Tuesday, the 22nd of April. In the light of the various advancements done so far, it is clear that the Correct feels that nothing concrete has been done in terms of the various demands that were put on the table, notably the giving of a concrete date for the organization of the National Education Forum and the effective signing and putting into application of the teachers' special status. So with respect to this, it was obvious that today's decision was unavoidable.
Thank you very much. And just to mention, Hyson Chia, that one of the reasons for this strike is also the refusal by employers of private institutions to sign the collective convention. And so we are putting our heads on the ground to give you more details as the days go by concerning the strike action by the Correct teachers. Reporting from Vogada, I am Ate Bonaventure for 360 Degrees.
Thank you so much, Ate Bonaventure, for those updates. We want to thank all those who are following us from the different parts of the country. Special greetings to Lukong Nuhu, who is a fervent follower of this program. Gio, the others had their time maybe before we went to Vogada. Please, I will just give you 1 minute